Warning, before this video begins, I just want to say that this video will deal with very sensitive subject matters such as sexual assaults. Continue with this video only if you are sure that you are absolutely comfortable with what subjects are about to be brought up. I really can't avoid it because the piece of art that I am about to discuss has themes of sexual assaults at the core of what its meaning is. Discretion is advised. Thank you. The theme of trauma has been brought up in many forms of art, television, movies, even music. While there is pieces of media that treats this subject with care, there is still a lot of video games, movies, and TV that simply have the message to put your pain on a pedestal and let it define you. That is a bad message, because accepting that as a form of your identity changes you from a person who was hurt to a person who thinks that hurting others is okay. And unfortunately, for the most part, I believe that pieces of art that portray sexual abuse often portrays it negatively. A lot of movies like Revenge or I Spit on Your Grave, they take that poor advice and poor message and apply it to one of the most horrible things that any person can possibly go through. This isn't all forms of media that portray such a message. We still have the song Prison Sex by Tool, a cautionary tale about sexual abuse and how that if you're not careful with coping, you could repeat the cycle and believe that hurting others is an okay thing to do. And with a heavy heart and absolutely no kidding around, I will say that I am absolutely qualified to speak on the subject matter. And I hoped that with my own personal insight, I can create my own art about this subject, not just for myself as a coping mechanism, but hopefully to help others too, no matter what kind of trauma they could possibly be going through. If you're watching this video, you're either one of the few people that I decided to show this to, or I decided to release this publicly. In both cases, I really want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen, and this truly means a lot to me. Today, I'm going to be talking about my EP, Reconsecration. I'm going to take you down the track list and what each and every song means to me, and I'm going to tell you anything that I can possibly share about this record. First thing I want to talk about is before we even get to the songs. The date that I released this song was the first Tuesday of April 2023, and that was the beginning of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month. On this day, I also hosted a charity event where I played this whole EP live, and I also let people donate to Rain, and in exchange for that, I gave them physical CDs of my EP. Even the album art on the front means something. This painting is portraying Cain killing his brother Abel. And the second piece of artwork with a track list on it is from Hamlet. It's Hamlet's father being killed by his brother and Hamlet's uncle, Claudius. Both of these paintings portray fratricide. This subject of fratricide is often used as a metaphor for incest. Finally, with that out of the way, we can talk about the track list. There are 4 songs in the EP totaling up to 18 minutes. The tracks are 1, End of Medium, 2, Start of Header, 3, Carriage Return, and 4, Start of Header. All of these names are ASCII control codes. I use these codes as a metaphor for tapes, VHS tapes, videotapes. Keep that in mind because it will come back a lot in this track list. Also, this metaphor with VHS tapes actually comes from Marble Hornets and a metaphor that my therapist used with me. Also, Phil, if you're watching this, I just wanted to say thank you, and there's no way that I could possibly thank you for what you've done for me. Anyways, let's start with the first track, End of Medium. This first track, I purposefully wanted to sound confused, lonely, empty. Not just to establish the mood, but also, End of Medium, in this context of a tape, represents the end of a certain period, the end of this tape. You can hear the track begin with the sound of a crank-up projector. I imagine if this is like a movie or a musical, this is the overture, an establishing shot that establishes the whole mood of what this project will be, of this whole experience. You can also hear whispering, and as much as I'm embarrassed to admit it, I kind of forgot what I said, so hopefully you can find that out. This song then just gets more confused, and I did this mostly for a sense of structure to this song, also just so I can have it represent just how confused you are when you're young and how little you understand about this loud world. With this kind of innocence and vulnerability, you are very easily able to be taken advantage of. This song represents the end of a period of purity and innocence. Innocence that is about to be taken advantage of and completely shattered.
I don't see the slow murder of myself and the people I love being any more acceptable or less acceptable than the murder of others in order to either protect ourselves or to take revenge. And the only thing that ever occurs to me in those thoughts of murder is wondering if the planet will spin a little bit faster once these people are gone.
This audio clip comes from a film called Bust, released in 1991, made by David Wojnarowicz and Richard Morrison. This track's original name was actually called Disdain. This audio clip was used as an expression of that animosity. Then after that, you can hear a mechanical voice saying, then the beat comes in. It's a confused, erratic nightmare. Honestly, I probably should have made this a different time signature to just get that confusion thing across. This is a break from the ambience, going into industrial, 9 Inch Nails-esque sounds. Then, the track gets erratic. It picks up, and in this moment, I want you to feel like you're falling, like you're drowning underwater, or being pulled into a dark spiral. I add even more layers to get erratic. Then all of a sudden, the beat goes mono, and then comes out again. In the moment where it goes mono, I actually use phase cancellation. When you listen to this part of the song again in mono, you hear the words, "Thou incestuous murderous damned Dane." This plays directly from the play Hamlet, and this is something that Hamlet says to his uncle in the play, the one who killed his own brother, Hamlet's father. Then finally, the track ends, and a new nightmare begins. 2 start of header represents the new tape, a new period of time. 1 where if you look back at it, you can believe that you're impure, desecrated, unholy. And after this track, we can finally move on to the 3rd track. The whole song is in reverse, though that isn't the proper way to listen to this track. You can hear the different reversed synth notes. There are 2. One is 4 notes and the other is 6. If you count the note difference between the bass line and the lead synth, it makes up certain numbers. Those numbers are of an ABC123 code that literally translates to rape and incest. Through the song you can hear the sound of glass shattering in reverse. There are more reverse samples throughout the song. I recommend you find more of these samples on your own, but you can hear distorted samples of children talking and laughing and singing. You can even hear the words "I'm scared." You can even hear a sample from the movie Hamlet with Mel Gibson. You can hear him whisper, "A brother's murder." The reason this whole track is in reverse is because carriage return represents rewinding of a tape, literally reversing the rape and incest. This track is so terrifying because it's literally facing the trauma that comes from such life-changing experiences. Then at the end of the track, you hear the sound of removing a tape. And finally, we move on to... The track begins with the sound of putting in a new VHS tape, and the track starts. And life continues, but this time, different. The song purposefully has a hopeful yet melancholic feel to it. The feeling of looking back at everything you've been through, but you just exited the woods. It's scary knowing you felt the way you did, but now you're glad where you are. Then, the whole song is drowned in reverb. This track also to me is a representation of all the good emotions and the feelings that come with proper and wholesome sexual encounters. The song, literally at its core, is writing over the abuse with real love, real sex, real everything. And the voice that you hear in the middle of this ties it all together.
I know what they did to you. I know how you feel. My heart aches for your torture. Please know this wasn't your fault. You didn't know. Oh, how damaged you are. Allow me to put you back together. Oh, you're so innocent, so vestal. You are blameless. Your purity is not used up. You have not been desecrated. You're still my innocent lamb. This is all going to some time. Let tomorrow's sunrise. Let light into your dark room. Let a new day begin. Let new experience ride over your tribulations. My lamb, this will be over soon. You don't have to let go. You just have to be strong. And I know you are. You're a survivor.
All of these are affirmations I think anyone who has been sexually abused should hear. An angelic voice assuring you that you have not lost your innocence, that good experiences will ride over your trauma, and that it's okay to live with the trauma as long as you can be more than someone who was abused, and reminding you that that's possible. The last line, "You're a survivor," is giving you one final look behind you at everything you've been through before letting you go and letting you lose yourself in the beautiful ambience of the track as it gently comes to a close. Then, that's it. It's all over. And hopefully, having listened to it, you can be filled with hope for the recovery of your own trauma. To conclude, this EP is not just to look at rape, though it mostly suggests that subject matter. It's a meditation on trauma itself. I wanted to make something that wasn't afraid to acknowledge the darkness and its understanding of the feelings of weakness that it brings. And while acknowledging the darkness, it isn't pessimistic. It shows you that there is always a way out, and it tells you that it won't take overnight, but if you work on yourself, open yourself up to change, facing your demons, and looking at new experiences, you can move past anything that you possibly could have gone through. Thanks for watching.